From 33 countries on 5 continents, the visitors came to participate in the biggest demonstration of defense systems ever held in Sweden, the Bofors Demo 92. The new Bofors is unique. Its range of defense systems covers the complete threat scenario. For 3 intensive days, the guests were able to witness Bofors's high-level capability through a selection of its air defense, anti-armor, and direct and indirect fire support systems. These were the 3 highly advanced systems presented at Bofor's own proving ground. The RBS-90 low-level, fully autonomous 24-hour air defense missile system, the Chameleon, an air defense turret mounted on the CV-90 combat vehicle and employing the 6-mode programmable 3P round. And the RBS-70 VLM, the low-level air defense missile system, configured here with a Land Rover. The guests had a clear view of all demonstrations, with close-ups on TV monitors in the large green boxes. The live firing started with the RBS-90. Ready for action. Target number 1, a towed sleeve with a length of 8 meters and a speed of 90 meters per second. Firing range, 2,800 meters. Intercept range, 2,200 meters. Firing number 2 was at an armored container, demonstrating the armor-piercing function of the missile Mark II. The front of the container had 20mm thick armor, the rear 10mm armor. The firing range was 2,800 meters. At the approach of the towed sleeve, the gunner acquires the target and prepares to fire. The gunner now slews onto the container, simultaneously selecting the TV mode.
And it was a direct hit.
The monitors at the replay center show an effective proximity hit about 1.5 meters above the target. The container takes a direct hit on its upper edge. On the replay from a camera at 90 degrees to the angle of fire, the shaped charge jet can be seen passing through the container.
Tossa. 4 sormenläpäyttäni horisonttiviiva.
The second part of this day's demo was to show the effectiveness of the Bofors Chameleon firing 3P ammunition. The 6-mode 3P round is programmed as follows. The Chameleon's sensors measure the distance to the target. The time of flight is calculated by the fire control computer. These data are then programmed by the proximity fuse programmer and fed to the shell before the shell is fired at the target. Target number 1 for the Chameleon was a half-scale helicopter. It was to be combated with 7 3P rounds. The firing range of 750 meters simulated a full-scale range of 1,550 meters. The round was programmed in gated proximity mode. In gated proximity mode, the proximity fuse remains closed, allowing the shell to fly over water, bushes, treetops and such without being activated. When the shell reaches the gate, the fuse opens. The shell is initiated on impact or when passing over a target. This enables it to combat such difficult targets as a helicopter hovering behind trees. The second target for the Chameleon, also a helicopter to be combated with 3P ammunition in an 8-round salvo, is at a range of 2,200 meters, with the round programmed in gated proximity mode. The replay shows the devastating effects on both helicopters. For the third part, an RBS-70 VLM demonstrated its mobility, flexibility, and effectiveness. The RBS-70 VLM can be deployed and ready to fire in less than 15 seconds. This towed sleeve target has the same firing data as the previous towed sleeve target. At the replay, the guests could see a direct hit on the target. Now let's take a closer look at the results. Helicopter A. Thousands of penetrations by tungsten pellets and fragments. Helicopter B. Severe damage caused by tungsten pellets and fragments. The ultimate proof of the effectiveness of Bofors 3P ammunition. The cockpit totally destroyed by a direct hit.
From those tiny fragments.
And the rotor blade put out of action by a proximity burst. And the missile Mark II, with its shaped charge jet, caused high-level damage to the container. The towed sleeve target combated by the RBS-70 VLM was penetrated throughout its entire length.
because we can see even penetrations in that direction and also on the other side.
At the end of day one, we asked some of the guests what they thought had been best.
The best?
Yeah, or
Better than the best?
Yeah.
How do you say that?
yeah.
Really, I thought that, first of all, when firing at your helicopter-type target you had there, where you're using proximity fusing, I thought that was quite impressive, showing, in fact, you can fire over trees, cut the circuits on, and then hit the target and have good effect upon it. I thought it was quite impressive.
Well, Chameleon enables mechanized forces to have an air defense capability which they probably lack at the moment, and it can fire proximity fused ammunition and engage attack helicopters, and also can fire an APFS DST round to engage other light armored vehicles. So it is a highly effective mobile air defense system, particularly suitable for use with mechanized units in very bad terrain. Well, RBS-90 is an all-weather system, and it is a quantum leap on the existing RBS-70 system, which has been around for some time. So RBS-90 is a much more effective system, and it's got its own radar, and it's a very, very capable system.
The anti-armor systems on this videotape are only a selection from all the systems demonstrated on this eventful day. But they clearly explain Boforce's domination of the anti-armor and anti-tank fields. These are the weapon systems. The AT-4 light, preloaded, disposable anti-armor weapon. The AT-12T preloaded anti-armor weapon with tandem warhead. The Carl Gustaf, an internationally acclaimed multi-purpose weapon, here in its new M3 version. The 3A Heat T armor-defeating round for upgrading the 106 recoilless rifle M40. The Bill ATGW, the first anti-tank missile system to employ the top attack principle. The FFV-028 anti-tank mine, and one of the mines demonstrated on this day. The day began with a number of the guests being flown by helicopter to the bonus test range to verify that the targets were in accordance with military standards. The bonus range was designed for testing the bonus anti-tank shell, but it's also used for many other purposes.
APC standing over there. Standard armor plate. Hinel 300.
About 1 meter.
Round. You can see it much closer. The space between the armor plates.
Immediately after the visitor's inspection, the demo began. The Commander-in-Chief of the Swedish Armed Forces witnessed the presentation of Bofors armor-piercing ammunition.
And I hope that you will enjoy the demonstration here.
To demonstrate the armor-defeating capacity of Bofors AP rounds for assault rifles, an AK-5 with 5 5.56mm AP rounds was fired at a target comprising a 10mm thick armor plate and 2 steel witness plates spaced 50mm apart. Range 100 meters. First, standard 5.56mm rounds.
Commence fire.
Now, 5.56mm armor-piercing rounds.
Commence fire.
The result? The standard ammunition used in the test hardly dented the armor plate, while the 5.56mm AP rounds made full penetrations.
More expensive than standard, but you compare it to wrong.
An M58 machine gun then fired 5 rounds of 7.62mm AP ammunition. The target, an APC.
Commence fire.
full penetration with internal damage. Now to the AT-4 systems. The AT-4 Heat High Explosive Anti-Tank Weapon, the AT-4 LMAW Light Multi-Purpose Assault Weapon, the AT-4 CS weapon for firing from confined spaces. The live firings proved the high-level capability of the AT-4s. First was an AT-4 Heat, fired at a reinforced APC with an armor protection of 38 millimeters HB 300 at a firing range of 70 meters. Note how the overpressure forces the rear hatch open, even though the hatch had been fully secured. At the replay, the explosively formed penetrator can be seen striking the target. The result? Full penetration and extensive fragment damage to the dummies. Now the AT-4 LMAW. The soldier can instantly select impact action or delayed action. The shell penetrates about 1 meter into the bunker before detonating. The result? Destruction of the bunker. The AT-4 CS showing its unique capability, firing from inside a room. The 120mm AT-12T, man-portable, preloaded backblast weapon that can defeat the armor of any MBT and from any angle. To prove its armor-defeating capability, the AT-12T was fired at a heavy single target with an explosive reactive armor module. The target consisted of 2 armor plates, each 150 millimeters thick, and 2 witness plates, one 25 millimeters thick and one 10 millimeters thick. The target was inclined 68 degrees. The ERA module used in the live firings belongs to a new class of explosive reactive modules. They're considered the best there are and are very difficult to neutralize. The AT-12T firing resulted in full penetration of the target, including its 40 millimeter thick baffle. This weapon system is the best of its kind in the world. One of the guests described it as man-portable artillery. It's the 84 millimeter Carl Gustaf multi-purpose weapon. Together with its specially developed family of ammunition, it's the weapon for all combat situations. These were the ammunition types demonstrated. The Heat 551, which knocks out 90% of armored combat vehicles at ranges up to 700 meters. The Heat 751, with its hollow charge tandem warhead, which increases penetration. The HEDP 502 dual-purpose round, optimized for urban warfare. The HE 441B, with a warhead carrying 800 tungsten pellets and a time fuse that can be set for impact detonation or airburst. The illuminating round 545, which enables units to provide their own battlefield illumination. The Smoke 469B for blinding, screening, or spotting targets. The target for the Carl Gustaf M3 with a Heat 751 was a NATO heavy triple with an ERA module. This is an extremely difficult target. It consists of one armor plate 10 millimeters thick, then another plate 25 millimeters thick, then the main armor plate 80 millimeters thick, and finally 5 witness plates, each 10 millimeters thick. The armor plates are spaced 330 millimeters apart. The angle of inclination is 45 degrees. The Carl Gustaf was fired from a weapon mount. The result? Penetration as far as the 3rd witness plate. Now the Carl Gustaf firing an HEDP warhead at a brick wall. The shell blasts through the wall and detonates inside. For the next firing, 2 Carl Gustaf squads were landed by helicopter on a nearby rise and fired Smoke 469B rounds for screening. This was rapidly followed by several HE-441B rounds. Range, 500 meters. The replay showed the rounds bursting above the enemy position. The enemy were represented by a number of plastic containers. The result? 50% were perforated. Mission accomplished. The squads are returned to base by helicopter. The 106mm recoilless rifle M40 has been given a new lease on life by the hard-capped armor-penetrating 3A Heat T round and by the Simrad LP101 gun sight, which increases the range to 1,500 meters. The sight can also be fitted with an image intensifier.
The Simrad KN200.
To show the increased hit probability of the 106mm recoilless rifle, a target practice round was fired at a prior generation tank. One round, one hit. The next live firing proved the high effect of the 3A Heat T round against a NATO heavy triple with an ERA module. This target had exactly the same data as the previous NATO heavy triple target.
3, 2, 1, fire! We will have a replay here.
The replay showed the jet exiting the rear of the target. The Bill ATGW, the 24-hour top attack missile system with a range of 150 to 2,200 meters. The Bill defeats the armor of any MBT. It can be vehicle mounted, air transported, and even parachute dropped. Here we see the Bill configured with an M113 vehicle. The night sight for 24-hour combat capability. By helicopter, the Bill squad is landed on a rise 700 meters from the guests and quickly takes up position. The squad's task, to kill 2 MBTs. The first MBT, at a range of only 150 meters, is an almost impossible target for most other anti-tank missile systems. The missile flight time is 1.5 seconds. After rapidly reloading, the operator sights on target number 2, an MBT equipped with ERA modules. The range is 1,270 meters, and the missile's flight time to the target is 6 seconds. The results. Target number 1, a hit on the thinly protected turret roof. Target number 2, the shaped charge jet struck the turret above the gun and penetrated deep into the hull, despite the added protection of those ERA modules. All Bofors anti-armor weapons have a complete range of sub-caliber and full-caliber practice rounds and simulators, making possible low-cost, effective training. For efficient defense, various types of landmines are essential. The FFV-013 area defense mine, with its pre-formed fragments and directional fragmentation, provides an instantaneous, devastating effect against helicopters, lightly armored vehicles, and soft targets. The 013 can be mounted on its tripod or a tree, or it can be permanently emplaced. Its effective range is 150 meters. In the target area are an array of steel plates, 150 meters from the mine, and a number of silhouettes and a minibus, 75 meters from the mine. There was also a 5 millimeter thick armor plate, behind which was a witness plate 2 millimeters thick.
Three, 2, 1, fire!
The result? The minibus, steel plates, armor plate, witness plates, and silhouettes all showed multiple penetrations. The FFV-028 anti-tank mine, with full-width attack capability and hollow charge, was now placed under a tracked assault gun. The picture speaks for itself.
Fire!
It was a very impressive display of firepower. I was particularly impressed by the modular design of the equipment and the ability to use the same platform to launch weapons of munitions of various types. And with regard to the time delay and the precise timing that was incorporated into the munitions, that was a particularly impressive feature.
The whole demonstration was extremely impressive, and from what I gather, the upgrading of the ammunition was the main factor that you can see the effect of this anti-armor, and also the Carl Gustav, which is a versatile and a multi-purpose weapon. It was distinctly seen and noticed that these weapons, they really mean something.
On the third and final day, the guests took up position to see the Strix warhead demonstration. The Strix is a new 120mm mortar-launched, terminally guided anti-armor projectile. The bonus 155mm artillery-launched anti-tank shell with 2 sensor-fused submunitions to be demonstrated in a warhead shoot-off. And the CV-90 with its 40mm ammunition. The 3P and the APF SDS-T, as well as the HET round. At a distance well beyond the sight of the guests, 2 FH-77B field howitzers were deployed. Their task, to clear the left side of the ridge of enemy troops. The FH-77B, which can get off those important first 3 rounds in less than 15 seconds, is the only towed howitzer in the world with a fully integrated land navigation system. It also features automatic loading of both shells and bag charges, high firepower, long range, and extreme mobility. For the Strix demonstration, a Strix warhead was standoff mounted above an ERA module on the turret of an MBT. Inside the MBT were 5 charges of MBT ammunition to show the warhead's ability to ignite material inside a target. The result, as expected. The shape-charged jet punched through the turret and ignited the charges. The commander's hatch was blown off and thrown 30 meters up into the air. There was also extensive fragment damage. The next demonstration featured the bonus warhead. The warhead was mounted in a rotating test rig angled at 30 degrees to the axis of rotation, simulating the search phase. The firing range was 75 meters. The target was an 80mm thick armor plate of 250 to 300 HB. The result? Full penetration of the armor and of both witness plates. For the CV-90, with its APF SDS-T round, there were two targets. One target, inclined at 30 degrees, had 20 millimeter thick and 40 millimeter thick armor plates, plus two 1 millimeter thick witness plates. The total penetration path was 120 millimeters. The other target, inclined at 56 degrees, was a 100 millimeter thick armor plate with two witness plates. This target, too, had a total penetration path of 120 millimeters. Time for target inspection. The guests could see how both targets were fully penetrated. The witness plates, too, exhibited many penetrations. Now a change to 3P ammunition fired from the CV-90. Firing number 1, a 5-round salvo in gated proximity mode with and without impact priority. Target, a helicopter. Range, 900 meters. Time for the replay. The result? Total destruction from direct hits and proximity fuse bursts. This was followed by 2 firings at containers representing light and lightly armed ground targets. The ammunition for the first of these firings, 3 rounds of 3P set for impact function. The second target was reinforced with 15 millimeter thick armor. The ammunition, 3 rounds of 3P in armor-piercing mode. Immediately after this came the 3P programmed for time function. It was fired at dismounted infantry dummies. Now, the replay from the target area. Result of the impact mode firings, complete internal destruction.
That's interesting.
The armor-piercing mode firings, complete destruction through the combined effects of intense heat, overpressure, and fragments. The time mode firings. All the dummies sustained multiple hits. The ground sheet showed the fragment density over the ground area. The increasing requirements for ammunition safety have led Bofors to develop IM, insensitive munitions. The effectiveness of IM was demonstrated in a fast cook-off test with a conventional propellant. One steel cylinder containing 2 kilograms of conventional composition B, hexatol, was placed in a fire barrel. And another steel cylinder with 2 kilograms of the insensitive munition PBX, plastic bonded explosive, was also placed in a fire barrel.
Start burning all the number 1 and number 2. Number 1 with composition B, number 2 with PBX.
The results? The composition B exploded violently. But the PBX burned slowly, proving the high safety level of Bofors insensitive munitions. The third day ended as successfully as had the 2 previous days. In all, the Bofors Demo 92 clearly showed that Bofors is always at the forefront in air defense, anti-armor, direct and indirect fire support, and ammunition, including intelligent ammunition systems.